The front door creaks open at 7:45 p.m. A billionaire, jet-lagged and exhausted from a 16-hour workday, steps into his sprawling mansion, only to freeze mid-step. The sound of laughter echoes from the study, a sound he hasn't heard in years. His son's laughter. But when he peeks through the crack in the door, his blood runs cold. The family's cleaner, a quiet woman he's only ever seen in passing, is bent over his son, her hands moving with a precision that makes his stomach churn. What is she doing? Why is she alone with him? And why does his son look happy? Ethan Cole had built his empire on the belief that success was a solitary journey. By 42, he'd turned a small tech startup into a global conglomerate, but the cost was etched into the walls of his home. His wife, Clara, had left 3 years prior, citing emotional neglect, in a divorce decree that felt more like a verdict. Their son, Leo, now 10, had become a ghost, seen only in snapshots, his face pixelated in security camera footage, his voice a distant echo on the phone. That evening, Ethan's flight was delayed, and he'd opted to skip his usual 9 p.m. check-in with the house manager. Instead, he'd taken a taxi home, eager to collapse into his bed. But as he stepped into the foyer, the house felt wrong. The air was too still. The lights were off. And yet, the laughter. He followed the sound to the study, a room he hadn't entered since Clara's departure. The door was ajar, and through the sliver of light, he saw her. Maria, the cleaner, her black uniform crisp, her hands moving in slow, deliberate circles over Leo's back. The boy was seated on the floor, his head tilted back, eyes wide with delight. What is she doing? Ethan whispered, his voice a thread. Maria was massaging Leo's shoulders, her fingers tracing patterns that seemed almost ritualistic. Leo's face was flushed, his laughter genuine, unguarded. Ethan's heart pounded. He'd never seen his son smile like that. Not since the accident. 3 years ago, Leo had fallen from a tree, breaking his arm and leaving him with a lingering fear of physical touch. Clara had tried to comfort him, but Ethan had been too busy. He'd hired therapists, sent gifts, but nothing bridged the gap. Now, this woman, this stranger, was doing what he couldn't. Leo. Ethan's voice cracked. The boy froze. Maria turned, her dark eyes meeting his with a calm that unsettled him. Mr. Cole, she said, her accent soft, he's been waiting for you. Leo scrambled to his feet, his smile fading. Dad. You're home early. Ethan's mind raced. Why are you? Maria stood, wiping her hands on her apron. Your son has been coming to me every Tuesday after school. He says I make his bones feel better. I didn't think you'd mind. Mind. Ethan's voice rose. You're a cleaner, not a therapist. Maria interrupted, her tone gentle. No. But I am a mother. And I see what you don't. He's been hurting, not just physically. Ethan's knees nearly gave out. He'd assumed Leo's silence was defiance, his distance a rebellion. But Maria's words carved through the fog of his guilt. Leo stepped forward, clutching his father's sleeve. I missed you, Dad. But I didn't know how to say it. Maria, she let me talk. She didn't ask questions. Just listened. Ethan's throat tightened. He'd spent years chasing wealth, only to realize his greatest failure wasn't in business, it was in love. The next morning, Ethan stood in the kitchen, watching Maria prepare breakfast. She moved with the quiet confidence of someone who'd long since stopped expecting recognition. He'd fired the house manager the night before, replacing her with a private nurse, but Maria had refused to leave. You don't owe me anything, she said, sliding a plate of eggs toward him. But I owe your son. He's the reason I kept working after my own boy died. Ethan's breath caught. Your son. Maria's smile was sad. He was 12, like Leo. He fell from a roof, same as your boy. I couldn't save him. But I could save others. So I became a cleaner. Because sometimes, the smallest acts, they matter. Ethan's eyes stung. He'd spent years dismissing the people who kept his world running, blind to the lives they lived beyond the walls he'd built. That week, Ethan quit his board meetings. He took Leo to the park, played soccer in the backyard, and sat with him for hours, listening to stories about dinosaurs and space. Maria remained, not as a cleaner, but as a mentor, teaching Leo how to heal through touch, through trust. The mansion still gleamed, but now, it echoed with laughter. And Ethan, once a man who measured success in numbers, learned that some things can't be quantified, like the price of a father's presence, or the power of a single, unexpected act of kindness. Months later, Leo stood on the porch, waving as Ethan returned from a meeting. "Dad," he called, his voice bright. "Maria said you're coming to the science fair." Ethan smiled, the weight of his past finally lifting. He'd once believed wealth could buy anything. Now, he knew the truth: some treasures are found in the most unexpected places.